Why bother with empty shelves at retail stores, waiting 3 days for a break to fill, or driving across town to find out your hobby shop closed at 4 when you always have a card show in your pocket? With Loop, you can instantly buy cards, packs, boxes, or into auctions with the click of a button, and do it all while chatting with some of the best personalities and the best community in the hobby. Download the Loop app now on iOS or Android. Loop, a card show in your pocket.
Y'all ready?
Fish Stripes Live After Dark, presented by Loop. I'm your host, Noah Berger. I'm standing in for Daniel Rodriguez, who is unfortunately not feeling well today. He should be back for the stream later on this week. We have the usual suspects, Isaac Azouk, Kevin Burrell, Alex Barber, Eli on the ones and twos. And we have Fish Stripe staffers, Louis Adeoye and Alex Krutchik here. I think Alex, this is your first time on the stream?
Yeah. No, I was on just about a week before, just before regular season started.
I should probably have remembered that.
No worries.
We're gonna recap the series against the Giants, which didn't end so well, but they looked okay. We're gonna look ahead at the series against the Angels, and we're gonna have some housekeeping in the middle. There's some interior decorating going on at Lone Depot that we want to talk about. Let's start with the Giants series. Who wants to start here?
I was the one that predicted it correctly, so I should probably start off.
Fair enough.
Hold on, as I finish up the little graphic that we put up here, just to remind everybody exactly how that went. Yeah. So back to back one-run games against the Giants, where I think overall it wasn't all that different than we could have foreseen. You know, the Giants are at less than full strength coming into the series, and to be fair, I guess the Marlins are at least on the very back end of their bullpen. You know, that came into play in the very first game with the blown save. All things considered, you know, we had the pretty glaring reminder about the outfield defense in Sunday's game, and of course the bullpen on Friday's game. Like, there are little items in there that showed you just how slim the margin of error is for this team when the starting pitching isn't exactly the way you want it to be. So the one game that they won was with Pablo shoving through the 5 innings, kind of as advertised, doing pretty close to what we expect from him. And then it was sandwiched in between a Sandy outing and a Trevor outing, where they were kind of meh, both of them, for different reasons. Sandy really struggling with his control, and with Trevor just not having like the highest quality of the stuff that he usually does, and relying a little too much on that defense that you shouldn't really be trusting too much. So really, I guess it comes down to that for me, is about the starting pitching, and it's just a reminder of how important that is for this team to go where they want to go, to get effectiveness from those guys and to get length from those guys. That this first series, they were a little bit less than you'd want them to be, and they ended up losing the series by that slim margin. So that's going to be a key moving forward, is having them take the step forward, or at least be the same guys that they were last season, in order for this Marlins team to be as good as we want it to be.
I had a quick question for you guys, because I don't think anybody in this series that started the game, I think each starter went 5 innings. And as we know, a quality start, I believe, is 6 innings of 3 runs or less. Where pitching is now, wouldn't you kind of want to maybe has your opinion on that kind of changed? Because
100%.
What Pablo, huh?
100%. I'm with you on this.
With what Pablo did, and in the way that pitchers are used now, especially maybe until I think it's the latter part of this month when the rosters are at 28. Before they go down to 26, I think the Marlins are carrying something probably 15 pitchers. I could be wrong.
15 pitchers, 5 starters, 10 bullpen.
Yeah, so 5 innings out of a guy when even if you still have a slew of guys is a lot. But if you even COVID, we saw innings the innings numbers drop. I think 4 guys only threw 200 innings last year. So like, is a quality start now like 5 innings? Like I'm watching a lot of stuff, and I know like even this is just like a general baseball observation, but there's guys like DeSclafani, who was great for San Francisco last year. You could argue that like he gave up 8 hits, but he didn't look bad. And then at the end of the day, he only threw like 3 2/3 innings. And we're like over here like lamenting like Pablo's start when he gave up 1 run, but he only went 5 innings. Like the standards for starting pitching have changed so much. I'm almost starting to like think that like. It's just, I don't know. Like, the state of pitching is a weird place.
I think you're right. Just the point to follow you up. I think you're exactly right that it should change a little bit, especially now that you're facing another hitter in the National League and not facing a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing to point out. You got to get through another quality hitter, right? So, yeah, I think you're right. I think 5 innings. I may diminish it to 2 runs or less rather than 3. Because if you give up 3 runs in 5 innings,
and 5, no, 100%.
It's 3 earned runs, so I think that I think that gives you a bit of a buffer.
I would diminish it to 2 earned runs in 5 innings and call that a quality start. I absolutely agree with you, Lewis. That's a good point.
I think 5 innings. The problem with 5 innings is that's the bare minimum for an official game. In Major League Baseball.
So I was gonna say something similar, like get rid of the win.
So I think if you go and like you said, 5 innings, 2 runs. I think 6 innings and 3 runs is actually, I think it's perfect the way it is, even though with the change of game now, I think that's something that I didn't expect that, Lewis. That's a good question.
It makes you question the term quality, though, because like if you're getting 5 innings in this era of where, again, like I said, 4 guys are throwing 200 innings a year. Luckily, we have one of those guys on our staff. If you're getting 5 innings now, I think that, that's still theoretically, by definition, that's quality. It's just not.
Yeah. For example, 5 shutout innings with 9 strikeouts. Like I think Jose's debut in 2013, it was
5 innings, 1 run. I think he had like 8 strikeouts.
Right, exactly. So I would mark that up as a pretty quality start. But
exactly, but the standards have changed so much. I mean, Rodon. Would you call Rodon like you're gonna say Rodon didn't have a quality start when 12 of his 15 outs were strikeouts against us? That's the scary thing. I had this weird thought that came into my head the other day. I'm like, the Rays win by walking a lot, they strike out a lot, but they also have the propensity to hit home runs. We don't necessarily possess that as a team. I think we finished last in adjusted OPS plus by team last year. Because I think we only hit something like 154 home runs or something. Like we were 28th, 30 teams. I would be elated if we could tap into more power with some of these offseason signings and maybe some continued playing time for Cooper and health for him and Aguiar. I don't care if we strike out 1,500 times, but if we can, hit 190, 200 home runs while continuing to live up to the reputation we have with the starting pitching that we have, again, it's 3 games. So I'm going the whole, getting messianic with all this, but we, could be an 85 win team if they did that. I don't know. It's just it's concerning. If we're going to strike out as much as we are, and the one game we won, we struck out 14 times, may need to start putting some more balls in the seats.
Okay, so on that topic, going around the room, which starting pitcher and which relief pitcher impressed you the most from the series? We'll start with Isaac.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think the starting pitcher was pretty obvious. I think Pablo had the best outing for sure. At least Sandy's velocity was there. He did say that he wasn't feeling the grip at all. I think that had to do with his 5 walks, which is uncharacteristic for him, as it's been a few years since he's walked that many. So obviously Pablo definitely. Too. Yeah, the baseballs. He mentioned that when the umpire were throwing the ball, he did talk about that a bit. So I think Pablo definitely had the best outing for a starting pitcher. Trevor looked okay too, though. I think everyone's velocity is where it should be. Pablo's did dip a little bit in the 5th inning. I noticed that it was 91, 92 at times with the sinker and the 4-seamer. So keep an eye on that. And then relief pitcher, Steven Okert, man. Holy crap. That guy, 4 batters, 4 Ks. And wow, that's someone you don't expect to get many Ks from. But his stuff looked really good. Another guy I want to mention was Tanner Scott's slider. Phenomenal. It came just as advertised. Holy shit. I don't think he needs to throw a single fastball. I wouldn't if I were him. But yeah, I think Okert, Tanner Scott really impressed me.
This is lethal.
Bender we'll get into a little bit later, but I don't think he's as bad as we're making it out to be. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be the closer for a while. And then, yeah, I think Sulcer looked good as well. Blyer came back, struck out the side after giving up a bomb to Brandon Bell. So the bullpen overall looked really, really good, in my opinion.
Kevin.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same answer as Isaac, to be honest with you. Pablo probably had the best start out of all of them. Gave up the least amount of runs. I think went the longest as well. And then Okert was really good. Isaac mentioned it. There's not really much else to say. I was actually pretty happy with how the bullpen played besides the first game with Bender, Bass giving up the walk-off, Bender blowing the save, Blyer giving up a homer. And besides that, the other two games, the bullpen, if I'm correct, didn't give up a run in the third game. It gave up one in the second. So overall, I mean, if that's the bullpen we're gonna get throughout the majority of the season, I'll take it. So yes. And Sandy, that was not the Sandy we know of, and I hope that changes in the home opener on Thursday. I'm pretty sure that's his next game. So and he's back in Miami, pitcher's ballpark. It should be good for him. He should be able to go 6-7 innings now, knowing the type of competition he's dealing with this season. So my answer is Isaac's answer. Pablo and Okert.
Well, the thing about Okert that made that performance so notable is that even last year when he was pitching well, he was not striking out guys at a crazy rate. And that was the big concern I had about this bullpen, and that I continue to have, is that I think they're going to be like bottom third in the league in strikeout rate.
Bunch of ground ball pitchers.
If for some reason Okert is able to do what he did, he never had an outing like this where he struck out the side in an inning, and he even went one batter further than that in this first appearance of the series, going 4 straight with all of them on the slider, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. With that. So, yeah, it doesn't really totally change my expectations at all for the pen moving forward. It's going to be important for those guys to stay healthy, just because that's one of the little holes in this farm system, is that there aren't, I think Alex would agree, there's not a whole lot of like obvious relievers in waiting in the minors, unless you want to convert like a starter into a reliever, as we've had this conversation, especially about Max Meyer, etc. But beyond that, there's like what we had with Alex Vesia for a couple of years there, where you felt really excited about him coming up. And I think that stuff is cyclical.
Happy birthday, by the way. I think today's his birthday.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is, yeah. So aside from like converting starters into that role, there's not like a ton of really sexy swing and miss guys that I think would help in case of an injury to this current bullpen group. So that's just one thing, is that if this group does somehow stay really healthy and consistent, then it could be fine. It's just realistically, that's not how it works out over the course of the season. That's what I'm worried about. That I think would eventually catch up to them if they don't make additional moves to address that.
Castano and Poteet are still yet to pitch, right? Or one of them is pitched,
neither of them have pitched yet this season.
And they're both in the bullpen,
they are
I believe.
2 of the 3 players that have they're the 2 pitchers that have not played yet this season.
Okay, so then that kind of says something. Unless we'll see them in this series, I guess Donnie will give them a chance, but
I would not be shocked if we see them at some point this season.
We'll see them this series. I'm almost convinced we will. I'm just saying, I don't think the bullpen's going to stay at 10, because you have to lower down the rosters to 26 at some point.
Yeah, but that's a few weeks away.
It's a few weeks.
I know, but I'm just thinking about that now. It's like, who hasn't pitched, who's hasn't been good, and those guys haven't pitched yet. It just says something to me, at least.
Yeah, well, Trout's not playing tonight for the Angels either. I don't know if you guys saw, but he's dealing with someone.
We'll get to that. So
what was it?
It's stomach distress.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it later, but Lorenzen's had his ups and downs in the last couple of years. So if the Marlins come out and score, maybe they can get some low leverage innings. As far as for San Francisco, though, obviously I think Pablo's the obvious answer, although Trevor gave up 3 runs, but one of them was a throwing error that he had, I believe, earlier in the game that cost him, that essentially was the deciding run. Yeah. And I didn't, Eli, I'm sure you saw the game yesterday. I'm sure everyone else here did. He was still pretty efficient, though. I think he threw 74 pitches in 5 innings. So he's averaging just under 15 pitches an inning. 74 pitches, square that out to 6 innings. He's throwing, 90 pitches in 6 innings? You'll take that every time. Maybe you want a little bit more from Rogers, because he's essentially a 2 pitching as a number 3 in the rotation, which is the way that he's slotted. I had a quick question for you guys though about Cole Sulcer. Like, his changeup is very good. But some of his expected stats, I mean, like the fact that what he did the first couple of years in the league in Baltimore, which is like very hitter-friendly ballpark, as is most of the American League East. A lot of his expected stats, though, say that there's some regression to be had, and I am a little concerned about, Eli, you made note of how they don't have a lot of swing and miss guys. He's a fastball changeup guy a la like Trevor Hoffman because he doesn't have the velocity. He's consistently like 90 to 92. Like, I'm a little concerned maybe about that because his ERA last year was something like 2.15, but he had like an expected ERA of like 3.10, and then a lot of the other peripherals said that he got really lucky. He also doesn't generate a lot in the way of soft contact, which is surprising considering that because I think he was in the bottom 2 or 3 percentile on max exit velocity. That's a little concerning. But with what you said earlier about ground, having a lot of ground ball guys in the bullpen, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing when you look at the general makeup of the infield. Because if you really exclude first base, because even defensive WAR doesn't place a lot of value on defense at that position, but shortstop, second base, and third with Andy and Wendell, platooning there. I know Anderson's playing right field tonight. Rojas at short and Jazz at second. I think they're pretty well balanced to be able to handle some of those ground balls. Obviously, like if you look at like FIP and stuff, their ERAs may note a bit of luck because the defense is so good, but I wouldn't be all that concerned if you're, looking on the surface level. I think that in the long run, you want swing and miss, but I don't know. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world to have the infield that we have from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, I understood the fit. It's just he's not a guy. Even him combined with Tanner Scott, like it left me wanting still a little bit more about what they could possibly do.
You need a Hader-esque strikeout guy, not to say that we're going to get Josh Hader, but
I was dreaming about that at the start of the offseason. I didn't think it was the craziest idea if they
not with this ownership group. And
would have been a pretty steep prospect price and the salaries.
The thing with Sulcer, Lewis, that a couple people have realized, and I was going through his Baseball Savant Statcast when I was writing my trade review of that trade. The thing that he's started to do last year is go up with the fastball and get swings and misses up with the fastball. Whereas before he was trying to bury it low. Yeah, as before he was trying to trying to spot it and bury it low. Now he's going up for swings and misses. That's good. I mean, I know he's only up to 95, like you said, at most. He's normally sitting 92, 93. That changeup can play, man. And if he's going up and then changing the eye level with the changeup, that's good stuff. And I like that guy. I think he's going to be fine. I'll give you my 2 cents on your main question that you asked a little while ago, Noah. Obviously, the main answers are the guys that Isaac and Kevin said, right? You're looking at Pablo as a starter, and you're looking at Okert probably as a reliever. But let's talk about bounce back. I mean, everybody's going to remember that Anthony Bender gave up a home run, and everybody's freaking out. And it's sky is falling. It's the same old Marlins bullpen. We're going to blow a ton of saves. Came back out the next night and was perfectly fine. Same with Richard Blyer. Gave up runs, right? Came out the next night and very much unlike Richard Blyer, struck out the side. So I think this bullpen is going to be all right. I really don't think they're as bad as we think they are. I don't think they're great. They're going to play down to a lot of teams that they face, including the Angels, which we will get to, who have a very good bullpen. But I don't think it's that bad. And I think we need to chill on 3 games. They only gave up 3 earned runs. They gave up 1 very bad one with Bender's meatball. But other than that, they weren't that bad. So I think it's going to be all right.
I was going to say the same thing with guys like Bender, Blyer, the bounce back that they made. Also, Anthony Bass, he gave up that run in the 10th inning. I've always said 9th inning or later, don't use Anthony Bass. 7th inning, he gets 3 guys out, and then he gets a 4th guy. That was the next inning.
I'm genuinely confused, though. If we have the expanded rosters and a team like the Indians whose prospects at competing are, you can maybe say, as good as us because they don't hit in the outfield at all, and they have a star in Jose Ramirez, if we have the expanded rosters, why is Max Meyer on the roster, and why can a team like the Angels just eat $28 million on Justin Upton, but we can't give Max Meyer the ability to at least face big league hitters when we know what he's done in college? The 1 minor league season, he was ridiculous. He should be in the big leagues already. It's kind of ridiculous that we're even just holding him down there.
I think that's a conversation for another time.
I'm smiling, Lewis, because I've been preaching that point ever since he was sent back down to minor league camp. Him being in the bullpen is your right-handed Josh Hader. Go on.
What'd you guys think of the new guys? Joey Wendell, Avi Garcia, and you guys already spoke about Tanner Scott and Cole Sulser. But what you got?
Really quick on Bender, I think I know what's wrong with him. The only thing he can't do is get the first batter he faces out. If I remember correctly, the first save he blew last year against the Dodgers, it was the first batter he gave up the home run.
Yep.
This one on Friday,
Right.
first batter home run. First batter on Saturday, Jock Peterson, rip it. After that, he's dominant. He needs.
It reminds me of Kyle Barraclough when he comes in.
Yes, he needs to get the first guy out. After that, like Noah said, and like Alex, I think Alex said, dominance. Like got the next 3 guys out on Friday, got Crawford ground into one, and got weak contact from Wilmer Flores after the double play.
He threw like
that's the thing. He needs to get the first guy out. That's it, and he's dominant. So I think he's gonna be
Kyle Barraclough, another former Marlin in the Angels organization, by the way.
No,
yeah,
one of many.
A lot of former Marlins there.
Yeah. To answer, Wendell looked great. I like Wendell a lot. I think one of them had a base running, or I think that was Jesus Sanchez.
That was Avi when
Jesus Sanchez had a base running issue, but Avi was.
Yeah, Avi. He does have a history of struggling in April, like I said in the group chat earlier, but he has looked very bad.
It should also be noted with Avi Garcia, he was taken out of the lineup tonight, which we will get to with back tenderness. That could have affected his hitting and his play in the previous series. We don't know that. All I can say was he didn't look like a major league hitter in the box.
No, he has looked very poor at the plate. In right field, he's looked fine.
He looked lazy in right field.
I think he looks fine. They all look lazy in the field, and they're catching their balls with one hand. But Avi Garcia at the plate, him and Aguilar, the two Venezuelan poppers, have really struggled. For Aguilar, it's just flies the shallow center every time, and with Avi, he couldn't hit the ball with a tennis racket right now. But he'll be fine. He'll hit 25, but it's in the first, like Ethan likes to say, the first series of the season is going to be under a microscope.
Kevin.
And not only that, man, I mean, Jacob Stallings, we got to give the guy props. You immediately noticed the difference from Alfaro and Stallings just on that first inning itself, throwing out runners. He's actually hitting better than Alfaro. It's impressive. And if we could get that Stallings pretty much for most of the season, I'll be a happy man. And I think we all will, because we'll feel a lot more confident about this Marlins, catching situation. Peyton Henry didn't look too good, but we got to give him some time. He barely had major league experience from last season. Fortes did have a little bit more. Besides that, I'm happy with how everything looked. I mean, Soler got a couple hits in the final game. He made that nice play, which is ramping up my prediction of him getting the Gold Glove. What else? Joey Wendell was pretty good. Cooper had some very 2021 base running. I just wanted to mention that very quickly. But besides that, you guys look pretty good. I think we got to give Joey Wendell some time as well. He had some defensive errors. I'm pretty sure it was in the first game with Sandy on the mound. So besides those little complaints, good stuff from the new guys.
Yeah, the thing with Garcia that it was annoying about this first series, and it kind of matches the eye test if you hadn't looked at the stats, he was just swinging at everything.
Yeah.
Like statistically, he swung at 70% of the pitches thrown to him. And that's the kind of number that would lead the majors by far if he kept doing that. It's aggressive hitters. Guys like Alfaro are kind of ones who swing at 50%, but he was at 70 in the series. He was getting himself out and in situations where he's making weak contact. I made that video trolling him for keep grounding out to third base in that first game because it was just
that was good.
Just poor decision making by him, trying to do a little bit too much. And as we'll get to, not in the lab tonight, and based on what Mattingly suggested, probably out tomorrow as well. So time to kind of mentally reset, and hopefully we see somebody in Miami who still has some of those aggressive attributes that actually make him a good player, but reins it in a little bit in order to put himself in good positions to do damage.
Yeah, looking back through it. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it is curious to see how he'll do when he comes back, both physically and mentally. After the weekend he had, it'll be good to not only get a physical rest, but a mental rest as well. Also, before we move on to the next thing, I loved what I saw from Jorge Soler, especially yesterday. It took a little while for him to get going. I think he went over for the first 2 games. I'm so excited for what he's going to bring, though, to the top of the lineup. I did say during the offseason when they first signed him that I don't think that he can be your best signing, and I still believe that. But watching him throughout spring, I've grown on him a lot more. I don't remember the last time the Marlins had a a powerful leadoff guy like that, and I think it'll be exciting to watch.
Yeah, what was it? 7 straight ABs getting on base, or 6 via walk or hit. That was nice to see, definitely from Saturday to Sunday.
To call it out on Avi, I was going back through when it was announced that he was getting taken out. I was like, well, I wonder if there's a hint at anything. He really wasn't swinging too terribly hard, especially in that last game. He really did not swing the bat very hard. And then he's, like Eli said, all over the place, just fishing for contact, and it looks really bad. So hopefully it's just a product of him not feeling his best, and he takes a day off today, probably tomorrow as well, and comes back and is the guy that we hope he can be. So, yeah, just something to point out there that I don't think he was swinging at his full potential, and I think you can kind of see it in what happened with his stats.
Yeah, and I think it's best that he takes the break because he really needs it, and we'll be able to see him in a big series against Philadelphia, which is the division series. We need to win those games. Those are very crucial, as well as this series tonight. So hopefully he comes back well. We'll probably see Noah's guy DLC tomorrow, which is another good part. But we won't get into that at all.
You can't steal my thunder with DLC. What are you doing?
Before
we get to the interior decoration going on at Lone Depot, one more thing about the Giants series. The whole situation with Jazz when he hit the 2-run home run on Friday, it was Friday. And then he was not in the lineup on Saturday and apparently was on social media retweeting about it. I'm not reading into it very much. Apparently he said that he didn't mean to retweet those things, and he's accepted it, and he was speaking out of turn. Again, I'm not reading into it so much. There's one thing I did worry about with him is his emotions getting ahead of him. Hopefully he works that out. He's looked fine yesterday. He's in the lineup today. I don't think there's much to worry about with all of that. Anyone else have anything to comment on that before we move on?
What I liked to see was that there's 2 different ways that young players can react, and one of them is trying to do too much and winding up doing nothing because they're trying so hard. But he went the other way, where he was exceptional yesterday. I mean, you could tell he kind of had a chip on his shoulder, and he's the kind of guy where it seems like when he has a chip on his shoulder, that's when he plays best. I'm hoping that this is just one of those situations where a young player did something stupid and Mattingly or Rojas or one of the veteran guys said, hey, you can't do that here. I hope it turns into nothing more than that.
Anybody else?
Not really.
He did some 23-year-old things, and that's about it. I'm
24.
24. I'm sorry, 24. I thought he was my age.
Isaac, come
on. Yeah, no, we're the experts here, right? Yeah, I would have. I just didn't like that he wasn't in the lineup on Saturday. Considering the circumstances, it's not a big deal at all. Obviously, he completely acted wrong, but I wouldn't have done that.
It's a lesson, right? I mean, this is how you don't act, and it sucks that he had to go through it while committing something like that. But you see players go through this, and if Jazz wasn't the superstar that the Marlins know he can be, they've punished players, prospect players, severely more than what they did with Jazz. And I think that's just telling that this guy knows that he's good. The Marlins know that he's good. He wants to play. He wants to play baseball. That's what he wants to do. He describes it as his happy place. He's happiest when he's on the field, and you're taking his happiness away after he had a great game. So I didn't agree with benching him either. You guys are right. But man, you gotta have the presence of mind, and I think he will after this, to just put your phone down, bro. Don't get on your phone. Don't tap the Twitter button. Don't tap, the TikTok button. Just let it be. Address it internally and leave it alone. And I think if this happens again, then you got a problem. But I don't think it will. I think he's learned. So I think he's all right.
All right, we're gonna hear from our sponsors, and we will be back with some banner talk.
Why bother with empty shelves at retail stores, waiting 3 days for a break to fill, or driving across town to find out your hobby shop closed at 4 when you always have a card show in your pocket? With Loop, you can instantly buy cards, packs, boxes, or into auctions with the click of a button, and do it all while chatting with some of the best personalities and the best community in the hobby. Download the Loop app now on iOS or Android. Loop, a card show in your pocket.
All right, so early on this afternoon, wasn't that long ago, Marlins posted a video. Eli, do we want to play the video?
Of course we do. Well, we'll play with the sound down so that we can talk over it and love it.
I will say that when I first saw the video, you get the sound all the way up. I think the sound works for it.
Those are the best jerseys in franchise.
When I first saw this, I was like, "Are they gonna actually do the Florida Marlins jerseys?" But then I saw them going up. I'm like, "Are they retiring his number?"
Yeah, I think there are some potential teasers there. Like maybe
Those
they are
cool.
Those unis, and maybe they are teasing a possible retirement.
I find it hard to believe that they made that whole video just for banners. There's probably something else.
The way they led to that, and I also with Miguel Rojas changing his number in the offseason, I know there was a significance of the number 11 for him for honoring his departed family members, but it would not surprise me if he was given a nudge by the organization of, hey, we want to retire 19 for either Jeff Conine or Mike Lowell or both. But it would not surprise me if they do end up retiring his number, which is way overdue. And those banners being actual banners instead of just the stationary flags is long overdue.
I know it's very hard not very hard. It's a little hard to do banners in baseball stadiums. So I wasn't too upset when I first saw them when they opened in 2013. But Marlins Park or Lone Depot Park being a roof, they could have done so much better than those flags. Noah, you're right. And I'm so happy that they did something, whether it be putting a banner on like the outfield walls or hanging it from the roof. Just something. And they look beautiful, by the way. I love that they have the World Series logos on it because I happen to think those were the two best logos in World Series history. I'm sure I'm a little biased, but yeah, I'm so glad that they're up there. And they look huge, like bigger than an average banner that you would see in any baseball stadium.
Did the Yankees come to Miami? Because, Aaron Judge has some pop, and that's the only thing that scares me.
But starting next year, the Yankees will be in Miami.
Starting next year, we play every team, which I really that's a decision that I really think is going to be awesome. Look at those.
Like just for scale, look, that's Conine there. That person
right there, massive.
He's there. And by scale,
where is that, by the way?
It is. That's the left field. Like the
it's
small
above that scoreboard and left.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying Aaron Judge, can end those banners very quickly.
Well, I think for me, with the tweet that the Marlins put out, Eli, if you want to put it on the screen, I don't know, that these are for you, Miami. They heard you guys. They heard the fans. They heard our buddy Alex Contreras. Like they heard me. I've said it before. They got to do something. They have to do something more than just those two small teal flags on the left field foul pole to honor the history of this team. And they did it because this is beautiful. They did it pretty perfectly. I can give you a very small nitpick on these. It's not even a nitpick because I don't even know if they can legally use it.
Of course you do, Alex.
But it doesn't have this logo on it. So that's the only thing that you can look at and say, well, it could be not even better, but just like enhanced, I guess, because these are great. I mean, like Alex said, they have the logos. They're great logos. We have shirts of them. That's how much I think of them. So it's awesome. It really is great. This is very long overdue. It's just a great job to the Marlins and their and everybody that works at Lone Depot for getting this done and for bringing Jeff back, the greatest Marlins player of all time, to do it. And
very quickly,
greatest Marlins player of all time.
Yeah,
that's a conversation for another day.
I hope
we are not going off on that tangent.
I hope to finish on my point that this is, and as you guys said, this is not the last we see of Jeff Conine and his number in the rafters at Lone Depot this year.
Yes.
So hopefully not.
And I want to mention very quickly with the Miguel Rojas number, not that I don't obviously mean something to his mother, and you meant, but this was when Jeter was with the team that he made that switch. Obviously, it meant for the mother, but right after Jeter left is when Conine comes back. I mean, do you think that Sherman really wanted to bring Conine on, and it was Jeter that was really just pushing it back and not allowing that to happen?
That's speculation. I don't think we should be getting
into.
Well,
it's not really. It's not really. It's not really.
It's very fair, Noah.
It's fair, but it's
fair, Noah. It's fair because Derek Jeter's first move, and you guys remember this, as
Yeah,
the
you're right.
CEO of this team, was to get rid of the entire history of the team. So
Yeah,
it's completely
awesome.
fair. It really is. So was it just Derek Jeter? I don't know about that. But the fact that you're seeing that teal, those pinstripes back, and those logos in the rafters, that
Those
says
jerseys
that,
are fire.
that they heard the fans. They heard you guys, and they heard us. And it's a big move, and it's a big moment. So it's really great to see.
As of right now, is that the only piece of the past that's in that stadium?
Isn't
I
there
think
like
so.
Other than the trophies,
Well,
probably.
Bobblehead.
They have an Orange Bowl monument by.
Yeah, but that's not Marlins. The Marlins never
Nothing
played
to
the
do with
They have
it.
more of a monument to the Miami Hurricanes than to their own team.
Exactly.
That's actually
Unless
funny.
you consider the really old bobbleheads, but besides that,
No, you know what?
Yeah.
That's not true, guys. If you go up the stairs by where the Clevelander was in left field, there is actually a whole section of Florida Marlins players that, there's Luis Castillo, there's Josh Beckett, there's Hanley Ramirez. There's a whole bunch of huge portraits of Florida Marlins uniforms and players. Then they have, I think the wall is painted as well. So I do think that, obviously not a lot of fans see that part because it's really like underground where not a lot of fans go through that section. But they do have some stuff there. Maybe I'm missing some more.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know
I think
exactly
that's
what you're
Alex-
talking about. Yeah.
That's
It's
what
left
Alex
going
Kirchhoff
up left
meant.
field.
Yeah.
I think that's what Alex Kirchhoff meant. More like, the type of like the banner type of decorations out inside the park that most people could see, not underground stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it should be in regular view. It should be in plain view of everybody. And the fact that they only, like I said, they only had those two little teal flags. But this is a vast improvement, and it's great to see for sure. Those of us that lived through it, I know a lot of you guys didn't live through both of them, and some of my fondest memories, and I'm sure a lot of
I
people
was
agree. So
3 in 03.
Yeah. Good stuff, and this is one of the best things that PR has done in a long time for the Marlins.
All
I
right.
hope it continues.
We've got a series against the Angels coming up. We're going to take a look at the lineups today. There were 2 changes to the lineups. We already spoke about them, but we're just going to reiterate. Avi Garcia was originally in as designated hitter for the Marlins. He has been taken out, and with back tenderness. Garrett Cooper, who was hit on the hand yesterday, he's alive. He is in the lineup tonight as the designated hitter. Mike Trout was originally in the lineup for the Angels. He has been replaced. I'm not sure exactly by who. They really mixed around their lineup after taking him out. He had stomach distress.
Stomach distress.
I get he saw Eliezer on the mound and he's my stomach's hurting, guys. I can't go to school today.
This doesn't help the narrative that baseball players are pansies. Lower back tenderness and stomach distress.
Well, wait, didn't
Hey,
Paul
the fourth
Pierce
game of
leave
the
the court
season.
on a wheelchair one time because he allegedly pooped himself?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Didn't
Who did-
Roberto Luongo spend like the beginning of a period in the bathroom?
Yeah, I think
for a
but
game?
that sounds familiar. I won't say yes, but that sounds familiar.
What
Ooh,
I want to hear from you guys is how do you think Marlins pitching should go about stopping players like Shohei Ohtani and the artist formerly known as Mike Trout, who will not be playing tonight?
I think the one guy you got to really be careful with. It's not going to be the name you expect. You got to be careful with Jared Walsh.
I
think
knew you were going to say Jared Walsh.
I think Jared Walsh is an extremely good hitter, and I think he's going to have a field day with Eliezer Hernandez today. I wouldn't be surprised if both him and Shohei take, Mr. Fastball Slider deep. But yeah, Jared Walsh is someone that's really impressed me. He's got immense power, and I think he's someone that could go off.
That's Dr. Fastball Slider to you.
Yeah, Dr. Fastball Slider. And tomorrow versus Lazardo, he'll go 0 for 3 with 3 Ks. But today, I'd be a little worried.
It's bold.
This is a good Angels team. It hasn't lived up to the hype in the past years because of mainly pitching, but this team now has Noah Syndergaard. You had some additions there. They have a 6-man rotation, which the Marlins should look into, and a very good bullpen, which could stop Miami very deep into these games. But their starting pitching, although it's underwhelming, they're probably going to destroy the Marlins and shut us out, like Eric Fede did to the Marlins with the Nationals. So on the bump tonight, it is Michael Lorenzen, who is a kind of bad version of Shohei Ohtani, who can pitch and hit, but doesn't do it as well as him. So Miami should be able to take advantage tonight, but we'll see because this guy probably is going to shut us out.
This lineup
Brandon Marsh a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. We will see Brandon Marsh. I was going to bring that up.
You will,
But
yeah.
This lineup without Trout is so beatable. It's so beatable. The middle infield is really bad. David Fletcher, Tyler Wade, Jose.
Whoa! Don't disrespect David
What
Fletcher.
the shade being
It's,
thrown?
it's a
They're
little
hurting
weak.
themselves by moving him to shortstop, though, because
Yeah.
he was a very good defensive second baseman last year.
Yeah, it's bench players all over the infield, and then you got Jose Rojas in
Rendon.
right field. Stassi is not great as an offensive catcher. Rendon's had his issues in recent years, so I mean it's a very beatable team. And then Lorenzen hasn't pitched as a starter, right? So at least not for a while. I know he was great in 2019 as a reliever, but man, the guy hasn't started much at all in his major league career. So unless they do the atypical old Florida / Miami Marlins and make some random guy that doesn't have a background of a starter make him look like a Cy Young pitcher, which could be possible, like Kevin said, has happened before, probably will happen again. But man, even if Eliezer struggles, this offense should be able to tee off against this guy and against this team. Their bullpen's really good. So, but again, if you chase a starter early, everything changes. So, yeah, this is a beatable team. They need to be able to tee off tonight and win this game for sure.
I never got to read through the lineups for people that are listening and not like looking at the streams. For the Marlins today, it's going to be Jorge Soler leading off, playing left field, Jesus Sanchez in center field, Garrett Cooper DH, Jesus Aguilar at first base, Joey Wendell at third base, Brian Anderson in right field, Jacob Stallings behind the plate, Jazz Chisholm Jr. at second base, Miguel Rojas at shortstop. For the Angels, it's Shohei Ohtani, always scary, designated hitter, Anthony Rendon, third base, Jared Walsh, Max Stassi, Brandon Marsh, Jose Rojas, Joe Adell, Tyler Wade, and David Fletcher. Both of these teams are under 500. It's 3 games in for one, 4 games in for the other. Do we care at this point?
No, but one thing I'll mention about the Angels bullpen, it's like a bunch of guys who Miami should have looked at signing. You know, it's like
Para and Luke.
Para, it's Archie Bradley, it's
Bradley,
a bunch of guys. Former Marlin Jose Quijada is on the Angels as well. A lot of former Marlins in the Angels organization, including Monte, including Sierra, Chad Wallach, and Jose Quijada in the big league bullpen. So I think the bullpen is one of their best components because that the lineup, like Alex said, after the first 4, that's with Trout in there. 5 through 9 is not very intimidating.
Looking forward to this series. Who do you think's gonna? No, that's predictions, and I don't want to do that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
What do you guys think of Anderson playing right field tonight? It's like the first time he's played right field in almost 3 years.
You just teed me up for a perfect rant.
No, Lewis, no.
Listen, guys, I won't do it.
I'll be back later.
Him in the outfield.
You listen, the guys that don't want to hear about De La Cruz, you can shut your ears off for like 10 seconds.
All right, peace out, bro.
I don't understand why Brian Anderson's playing right field. Again, we have Brian De La Cruz right there. Hopefully he plays tomorrow against the lefty. If he doesn't, I am definitely sounding the alarm, but I'm still holding out. He's the
let me ask you something.
only hitter on the team that hasn't gotten an at-bat.
That's ridiculous. I'm shocked he didn't pinch hit yesterday.
Yeah, me too. I
was more than a little pissed that they put Jacob Stallings to pinch hit for Henry.
I think
they put Jacob Stallings over him.
Jacob Stallings was the pinch hitter in that situation over Brian De La Cruz, and it pissed me off.
I mean, I think it was because that they had already gone into the bench and Payne Henry was up to bat, and so they just wanted to replace the catcher with another catcher to, not have to go use another bench bat, which you might need later in the innings. Anyway, I think Brian Anderson is not only a better offensive player than Brian De La Cruz, he's a better defensive right fielder probably. So I think he's the fourth he's the 4th outfielder for a reason. He'll start tomorrow 100% against Sandoval, I think it is. But, let's not all get all crazy because DLC is not in the starting lineup. Brian Anderson is a superior player. He's a more important player. I want to see him in there. Anyway, I love you, Noah. Sorry.
Yeah. You keep saying that.
Brian De La Cruz is probably going to stick at center field. I don't think they'll move him too much.
He's not a center fielder, though.
He's not a center fielder. That's what I'm trying
to
tell
better center fielder than anybody else on this roster.
I can play center field better than most of the guys on that team.
That's what Noah's right.
Here's my question. Who is a better defensive center fielder on this roster than Brian De La Cruz? That is a serious question.
I think Jesus Sanchez looks the most adept out there, but but I'm also saying that in the context of the guys who we have. So that's like saying, yeah, it's like
On this roster, who is a better defensive center fielder than Brian De La Cruz?
That's a secret, baby. I'm sorry.
is so
Eli, that
small
was
for each
perfect.
of them, though. I don't think
Anthony
any of
Bassett
those
is very
guys
good
even
center
have
fielder.
100 games in center field in the majors each. I don't think De La Cruz even played 100 games in the majors, period.
I mean, think about it like this. No, if they weren't willing to sacrifice some defense, and if they were willing to sacrifice defense in AT&T Park, they're sure as hell not going to, sacrifice the offense in Angels. Or the name of the stadium?
Oracle Park and Angel Stadium.
Oracle Park. That's right. Oh my God, when did they change that?
I think this season.
They copied the Warriors.
May have been last season.
Oracle Park. But yeah, tomorrow DLC will get the start, and we might see him tonight.
The one thing you may want to watch out for De La Cruz, though, is Sandoval's pitching tomorrow. He's a changeup guy. De La Cruz did not fare well against changeups last year. It was only 22 plate appearances, but I think he hit like 167 against changeups. So my Brian Kenny stat, but you may want to be careful of that because
that's something I should have known.
With the team short on pitching, you're gonna have to go matchups. And Sandoval's good, but he makes his money with that changeup. He's like what you said.
You're putting a dagger in my heart right now, and I don't like this.
Sorry, no, I didn't. Did I invade your safe space? But
you did.
He's a high fastball, and then he's a changeup away kind of guy. That's how he makes his money, or how he will if he continues to progress. And
I think,
but he needs to play. That's the difference.
I think at the end of the day, I think one of the outfielders tomorrow definitely will take a break. If it's not Soler, it's going to be Jesus.
Garcia. It'll be Garcia again.
Well, yeah, but I don't think they want to put Brian Anderson in right field again. That's what I'm saying. That's
Aguilar might get a day off.
So if Aggie gets a day off, then yeah, De La Cruz could slip in there because he would put probably either BA or Wendell at the DH, I assume. And then you put Cooper at first.
Knowing Donnie, I think you'd want to sit one of the lefties. So you think Sanchez might get his first day off, even though I don't really want that.
That's where I'm trying to go. He didn't have that good of a series in San Francisco.
And he had a bit of an injury trouble in spring too, so.
No, you know what? And I can't even say that because the only other option. Oh, I guess you're right, De La Cruz. Sorry. So yeah, that is a possibility.
Anderson's the best defensive outfielder on that team, and he's not even an outfielder. As weird as that may sound, if you look at the defensive metrics, if you project what he did in right field in 2019 out over a full season, if Mookie Betts, isn't in the National League, he could win a Gold Glove in right field. But he doesn't hit enough to justify playing third to play right field.
Got a point.
I'm just saying.
Wasn't he a Gold Glove finalist in right field? In 2019, he was a Gold Glove finalist. 2019,
he played like 60 games out there, and he was plus +5 or +8 DRS.
There it is.
Alex?
No, I was just going to say, because you guys brought up Jesus, the issue to bring up with him is his ability to cover the plate. That guy really struggles with inside pitches, especially up in the zone. He hits his exit velos. I mean, so far this year have all been amazing because he's that damn strong. He hit a ball 106 miles an hour.
Young Marcelo Zuna.
Yeah, he just needs to work on covering the inner half of the plate. And if he can do that, that guy is fantastic. But it's been a problem, and that's where guys are busting him, and that's why he's getting these strikeouts and, some weak contact you saw in spring training. I posted a video of a pitch that he should have mashed that ran very late over the inner half, over the center part of the plate from the inner half, and he fouled it off weakly, and it should have been a home run. So he's going to struggle against pitches like that. That's what he needs to figure out. But if he does that, he's good. He's really good. Something, Noah, to bring up that you didn't do is Jesus Lazardo. This is a guy I want to see come out tomorrow and be really good. Be really good. I loved him in spring training. I want to see him bounce back from what he did last year and so far in his major league career. But maybe if you guys want to weigh in on him, I think that you could see him break out in a big way starting tomorrow.
I'm the skeptic on him. I'm the one that's like holding out a
of course,
until we
of course.
see it in
It's
real
a guy
game.
that I like, so Eli's the skeptic.
Yeah, as Lewis can attest to, and as others can attest to, everybody in camp is really
Sanchez.
hyped.
Eli doesn't like him.
Everybody in camp is hyped about what he's shown.
Extra
D-Lo and as well as the actual skills development that he put in over the offseason.
Donnie didn't. When I spoke to him during the season last year, and then when I spoke to him in that spring game against the Nationals that got rained out, he said that Lazardo's biggest problem last year was that, I think he just built himself up too much, and that's devoid of numbers and all that crap that goes along with just observing baseball. He said that Lazardo's kind of become more cognizant of learning to know when he's kind of amped himself up too much and that he's slowing himself down. And like he pointed out outings that he had in spring where he got into trouble, told himself that he was aware of it and then kind of settled down. He said that if you see a lot more of that this year and that they've had a lot of communication about that, although he leaves a lot of that like chatter back and forth between him, like Mel and the pitchers, that Lazardo should actually be one of the better storylines that go with this team this year. But yeah, I also too keep the freaking glasses on. I know that it's not like that intuitive of a comment, but I remember speaking to Donnie after, I think wasn't that he had to start against the Phillies near the end of the season. It was like 5 1/3 innings. He had like 8 or 9 strikeouts. And I think it was the first time in like 5 or 6 starts that he was wearing, and they're prescribed glasses, like the lenses are like prescribed for his particular vision. He wasn't, I don't know if you guys remember, he wasn't wearing them for like 4 or 5 starts. And Mattingly was like, oh, I didn't even notice that. It's like, well, you're the manager. Maybe you should kind of be aware of that. And, you know, obviously the guy just had the best outing of arguably the season because he was terrible in Oakland too. Keep those on, maybe continue with the mental game. And, you know, I think he'll be better this year. There's still some chinks in his armor, I think, early on, but the ceiling is too high with the stuff he has to not be at least a league average starter.
The thing with him as a last for me on this, before you guys go on probably predictions, is his curveball usage. Last year he was getting behind in counts. It was fastball, barely throwing the curveball. This year in spring training, he got behind in some counts and he showed the confidence to go to that pitch. And that's a damn good pitch. That curveball is really, really, really good. So yeah, if that guy is showing more confidence in that pitch, and why shouldn't he have confidence in that pitch to throw it in all counts, challenge all over the zone? He's going to be really good. And the velo's up as well, as Eli said. I'm not low on him. I think he's fine. I've seen him as a high schooler. He's always pushed the envelope. He's always been a guy that's ahead of the curve. Until he got to the major leagues, he's had his struggles. I think he's ready to get over them. So I think Lazardo is going to be good tomorrow. I think they win tomorrow. That's a sneak peek of my prediction. But go ahead.
Whoa.
Prediction time. Prediction time.
All right. Eli, you have something to show before we start predictions?
Yeah, well, this is is it the 3rd season or the 4th season? Fish Picks is back. Fish Picks.
You said it wasn't.
Well, yeah, but it's in a new form, a series by series Fish Picks instead of game by game.
Oh.
I don't even want to get into how much time I exerted counting up people's scores last year, and especially in 2019. That was a grind. But so the link it's on our website. It's on Twitter. It's actually right here. Easy enough that you could probably type it in yourself. bit.ly/2022 Fish Picks. And surprisingly, we had a very big turnout already on this first edition of it. Just when I took the screenshot, it was already 60 people that put their picks in this form. It's a couple over-under props. How many runs are going to be scored in the series? How many times is Mike Trout going to strike out against the Marlins pitchers? What's the distance of the longest home run going to be? This is an example. So these would be pretty similar props for every series moving forward. Will Cole Sulser make an appearance the next 2 games? Probably.
Yes.
And what's going to happen? Wins and losses. This is ultimately, the big prediction that we like to focus on. And a lot of people going with a split. Considering this is a 2-game series, that is an easy opt-out. Every single series, play along at home with us. And you can win prizes. I'm giving away 9 T-shirts over the course of the season that we make with Breaking Tea. Everything from the new solar power ones to classics like bottom feeders. You get your choice if you are the points leader during different phases of the season. We're splitting it up into 9 innings. Get it? 9 innings of the regular season. Giving away prizes during each inning. So we're still very much in the first inning. Go ahead and make your picks if you haven't already. As we're preparing to make our picks here, Noah, as I mentioned, just like last time, picking the series outcomes, wins and losses, and also the MVP of the series. Is that right?
I will say, going back to last series, I picked Jazz. He did pretty well. So we're going to do this series predictions. Last week, I picked a sweep, and it did not go well for me. Eli picked it perfectly. He said San Francisco would win 2. We would lose 2. If they win 2, of course, we lose 2. What do you guys think for this week? We're gonna go around the room. We want your series prediction for this series and your series MVP. And how are we deciding the MVP again?
I guess we'll go with win probability added. It's not the sexiest way to do it, but it can be calculated for both hitters and pitchers after the fact. For example, last series, Jazz Chisholm Jr. was the MVP because of both his hitting and his home run, of course, in that first game and how it flipped the game around temporarily. That's the kind of thing that takes into consideration the context of when you do cool shit.
Is picking the MVP necessary for all these predictions? Because what if it's a team effort, and it's a very divisive thing to do? What if the players are watching?
You should be able to pick a leader. Come on.
Why don't we just pick the winner?
Pick your MVP, Isaac. Just
pick your series and pick your MVP.
Me first? Shit. Can someone? All right, fine.
You want me to go first? Fine. I'm gonna go with the sweep, and I'll go with Jazz again.
Well, Jazz again.
Isaac.
That's fair. Okay, you gave me no time. I'll go with Noah. I'm gonna go sweep. Ooh. I think they win both. I think Lazardo comes out and shoves tomorrow. That's my boy. He's so calm and collected last time I saw him. And the last time I saw him in Major League, is the game 161 that Lewis attested to. He looked great. I think that carries over against a pretty lefty heavy lineup. Marsh, Walsh, Ohtani. So I think they win both, and the MVP will be no one other than Lazardo himself. Oh wait, it can't be a pitcher, right?
It can be. It can be.
You said Bender last time, if you remember.
I did say Bender last time. So
how'd that turn out?
Let's go with. You know what? No, I changed my mind. Jesus Sanchez.
Fair enough.
Kevin.
Oh, we may look like idiots after this one, because if you guys remember that Colorado prediction, I'm gonna go sweep as well. And I'm gonna go.
Oh no!
I'm gonna go pitcher because I went offense last time, and I'm gonna go Jesus Lazardo. That guy's gonna shove. I kind of stole Isaac's guy in a way, but Jesus, and we're gonna sweep the Angels. Go 3-2, entering home opener against Philly over 500.
Eli.
I have a series split. I was surprised that you guys aren't going with the split.
Watch Eli be the only one correct, by the way.
I've been conditioned from Ethan throughout last season. Every time the Marlins had an even number game series, he
said that during the meeting today.
Yeah, so I'll follow his influence and follow most of the fish pickers. Most of them went with the series split as well. My series MVP, I'll go with an Angels guy. I'll say you guys are sleeping on Patrick Sandoval, what he's going to do in the second game. That's going to be a relatively light lineup if Avi is out again and potentially some other random veteran rests. We'll see how Cooper comes back from his wrist contusion. I think Sandoval is going to have a pretty good outing against this Marlins lineup tomorrow.
Ye of little faith. Lewis.
Yeah, probably just going to go split. I think Sandoval has done more in his time in the big leagues than the likes of Lazardo was done. I still think Lazardo is going to pitch well, though. Like I said, I think this is going to be a year where he's going to make some really nice leaps. And I think Joe Adell, you put up the graphic, Joe Adell's played all 4 games. I don't think he has a hit yet. Joe Adell was a pretty high prospect for the Angels. I think he's going to do something in this series. Brandon Marsh, at least we forget, and there's all this talk about the inability for us to have capable center fielders. I think Brandon Marsh is an excellent defender, and we may see a home run or 2 robbed from him this series. MVP, I'll go Marlins guy. I think that, I think Garrett Cooper is going to do something because we traded Stanton, a guy made a glass for another guy made a glass in Cooper. But, when he's on the field, I've said it a million times, Cooper is just a solid all-around hitter. I think he's a better defensive first baseman people give him credit for. I think if the wrist is not bothering him, and I believe the x-rays on that came back negative.
Yes, they came back.
I think he'll be fine, and I think he's going to do some damage. I like Garrett Cooper. And
I respect the Cooper pick.
Yeah.
Oh. Good luck to Tyler out there on the big bet on the Angels tonight.
Woof. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Lose $600.
It's like $600.
600 to win 500.
Is that Tyler Wilson from Twitter?
I don't know.
Let's hope not. I'm just kidding.
What does this guy do that?
Alex Krutchik.
I'll say this, Lewis. I'll say this, Lewis. It was either for me, Lazardo or Cooper. I don't know why. I think Cooper could just smash in Anaheim for some reason.
We're tight on time, so I want to get these last 2 picks in. Alex.
So I'm going with a split. I'm pretty confident about tonight. Just like you guys, I loved what I saw from Lazardo over the spring. I'm just curious to see if it'll transfer over to the regular season. So I'm 50-50 on tomorrow. So I'm going to go with the split. My MVP, I think I want to say Jorge Soler is going to have his Marlins introduction party this week. Hoping to see
Right.
something big from him these next 2 days.
Alex Carver.
Yeah, I could be brief. I already gave you the back end of mine, but man, when I picked Eli's fish picks, it was before the lineups came out and before we knew that Trout was going to miss and everything else, and I had them losing tonight, and I had them winning tomorrow. But now with everything as it is, I'm going to go sweep, and I'm going to actually say exactly what Kevin said, and I'm going to say they sweep, they win tonight. Eliezer does enough. The bullpen does enough. They get past them probably in a closer game than it should be. I think they should torch this guy Lorenzen tonight, but they probably won't realistically. I think they should. They're the better offensive lineup. And then tomorrow it's Lazardo. And I think Lazardo's going to be great. And he's going to go 5 innings. Bullpen's going to be good behind him. Get some offense behind him as well, hopefully with the run support. Man, yeah, they get both. And I really think they will.
I think the biggest factor of this game is when they decide if he's fine, when Trout comes into the ball game. Because if it's in the 9th inning and Bender's closing the game out and Trout leads off that inning, it's over.
I do think we have a chance to see a battle of the fish tonight or tomorrow with Trout facing Anthony Bass.
Yeah, I don't like that matchup, but hopefully not.
It works just for the memes. Literally just for the memes.
Bass Trout. Who's
Bass
the other
versus
guy?
Trout.
Who's the other guy with a fish name? Not Jake.
I mean, Marsh is kind of like a
Jake
fish
Fishman?
thing, and there's like water.
Tim Salmon, former Los
Tim
Angeles
Salmon.
Angels.
Tim Salmon. That was it. Tim Salmon. All right.
All right.
4 of us could look like idiots, and 3 of us could look extremely smart. After
Or we
this
could just
series.
all look like idiots. Which
How
is,
many innings?
Exactly.
Will we,
Yeah.
How many
Yeah,
innings
we
will
can
we
get
take out
swept.
of Eliezer tonight? Before we
Five.
go?
Enough.
4.2.
Oh,
4 and
5.5.
2/3.
5.2.
You're adding more predictions. What are you doing?
5.2.
All right.
Prediction time, Noah.
Our next telecast is
Thursday,
before the home opener. What time?
5:30 to 6:30.
I won't be there, guys.
Wait.
I will not
isn't
be
the
there
home
either.
opener- Oh, it's a night game. Right.
Yeah.
I should
JPR
know
and Zebra
that.
looks sharp tonight. JPR and Zebra looks very sharp tonight.
He got
Oh,
lamb.
man.
He got roasted on Twitter.
Yeah, poor guy. I think he's doing a great job. I think it's about his
I mean,
Noah, Isaac, and I will not be there on next stream on Thursday. I'm pretty sure.
No, we could do it from the ballpark, Kevin. Come on.
I'm gonna be busy.
You're right. You're right.
I'm doing it from the ballpark. I don't know about
I
you.
will try my best.
All right.
Try my best.
For Isaac, for Kevin, for Lewis, for Alex. There's 2 of them. For
Get well,
Eli
Danny,
behind
by
it.
the way. Feel
Get well,
Danny.
Daniel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Please come back. This is super stressful. Eli behind the scenes. I'm your host. Hopefully not for long, Noah Berger. We'll see you next time.
Why bother with empty shelves at retail stores, waiting 3 days for a break to fill, or driving across town to find out your hobby shop closed at 4 when you always have a card show in your pocket? With Loop, you can instantly buy cards, packs, boxes, or into auctions with the click of a button, and do it all while chatting with some of the best personalities and the best community in the hobby. Download the Loop app now on iOS or Android. Loop, a card show in your